Greetings and welcome to Star Trek Discovery Podcast, a sometimes funny, trying to be smart podcast covering all things new and classic Trek. I can talk friendship. I'm your captain, Myrriah Gossett. With me on the view screen, we have
Paul Satachet. Like, I might be slightly assimilated by the Borg, depending on how my audio hangs out. So please bear with me. I truly apologize.
So far, so good. No Borg on helium at the moment, and hopefully it'll stay that way. Tonight, we are going to talk about the two current trailers out for this next season of Lower Decks. Clyde, unfortunately, is in sickbay, but hopefully he will be back next week with us to discuss the double episode premiere. But tonight we're going to discuss some theories. We're going to dig into some fun predictions, some of our reaction to the trailers that have come out the last couple weeks, and see what you all, our lovely viewers and listeners, have had to say. First, just a couple of reminders. Paul, can you remind folks where they can find the pod or share the pod with their friends?
Hey guys, if you want to share our pod with your friends, try Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. All links are at StarTrekPod.co. And if you love our content and you'd like to join our Patreon for just $2 an episode, consider doing that at patreon.com/StarTrekPod.
Indeed, because one of the amazing things that happens if you're one of our patrons, one, you get to hang out with us in Slack, and two, you can give us your hot freaks, your predictions early, and we will be going over those before anyone else happening in the chat. So even if you're someone who listens to the pod, this is a way for you to share your hot freaks with us going into this new Lower Decks season. Another reminder is if you want to interact with us tonight during the live stream, you can do that. Just type in capital P, capital O, capital D, capital pod in the chat so that we can take note of that. And then you can also do a capital HF when it's that specific time. You will know it when you see it. Okay, so today I was going to change it up a little bit for us tonight, Paul.
Oh,
and
no.
Instead of...
I don't like change. Change is bad.
So because it's trailers, there's not really a way to have, like, I think a hot freak on a trailer besides, like, it's exciting, I'm excited. I thought we can give our wildest prediction that we think is going to happen this season. So get your thinking caps on because it is time for some hot freaks! Time for some hot freaks. While you're pondering, Paul, I'll share from the menagerie, our patrons. Karen shares, I wonder if there might be a villain team up. Think Agamus, Peanut Hamper, Badgie, or maybe even William Boimler.
Holy crap. That is amazing. I think that on like a con type starship, like, you know, with Badgie at the
helm.
That'd be hilarious. I would love that.
My prediction is that Peanut Hamper and Badgie are definitely getting together. And I also think we might see maybe like mini Peanut Hampers. You know, they had some hookup happening last season with that owl bird creature.
Yeah, I don't know if you understand how biology works.
But... I don't, so it's okay. But maybe they synthesized some creatures that were offspring.
That's you're. I love your gumption.
I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall. We'll see what sticks.
Yeah, no. Like, I have to assume Badgie's coming back.
You got to assume.
And in the trailers, there was like some Voyager stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and they of all the things they chose to show, they showed like macrovirus, you know. So I thought, like, well, you know, that wasn't a Prime episode of Voyager, but hey, you know, whatever.
We got a Clyde prediction. Clyde is hanging out in the chat. He's feeling under the weather. Couldn't join us this evening. Let's see what we've got. Clyde, my bet is Peanut Hamper is mentioned 10 times. Oh, that's a prediction for tonight. Yes, that's probably going to happen.
Yeah. You know, Clyde, you know, I hope you feel better. I hope the doctor takes care of you.
Yes. Everything will be okay. Okay, so just to recap where we left off last season. So the 2 trailers that are out, I'm not going to show them because we always get dinged for showing any content. And I don't feel like arguing about fair use.
Mhm.
The first one that was released at Comic-Con is more of like a pure trailer for, I think, the upcoming season. We're getting to see that there's something happening. There's attacks on non-Federation ships that have been going on across the quadrant, and now the Federation is getting attacked. That's sort of the premise. The other big thing is the potential for promotions this season. So that will be, I think, the underlying moments of importance for our lower decker crew. And then the new one that came out seems more to me like a true, just like a lower decks trailer, the one that came out literally today, because it had a lot of footage from seasons past, which I'm not mad at. It made me excited to rewatch the whole series, actually. But what did you think of the 2 trailers that have come out thus far? And then we'll kind of dive in and recap where we left the crew last season.
I mean, I think, like, if anything, I have no idea what to predict from Lower Decks. They get to go so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They can do anything. Like, it's something that like you think is a big thing is just a throwaway.
Yeah,
a throwaway, and they're like so you're watching
truly where no man has gone before.
Exactly, like the like the macro virus, for example, like is that a primary thing, or is it a throwaway? Is it? I assume it's a throwaway, but like
Probably.
and then Ransom offering Boimler, a promotion if nothing goes wrong, and there's a volcano, so there's a volcano. So are they doing the Kelvin universe where Spock freezes, a volcano? I have no idea. I seriously have no idea. So it's all very exciting because, like, for all of it, I've never been disappointed with a Lower Decks episode.
Truly, it's just like I'm either fully entertained, having a good time, or like it's one of the best episodes of Trek I've ever watched. Like Lower Decks always like is a grand slam for me in most cases.
Yeah, like the default setting is so high. It's the envy of any other episode. Like, because they can do so much so quickly. And it's always like it's just so fun forward that I find I cannot fault it.
I also am always just so impressed with the joke density of the show.
100%.
Like I imagine like the writer's room for that show. And I will say, technically this show falls under TAG, but we're still, in solidarity with our writers and our SAG performers, because a lot of those people cross over on this show, but TAG being the Animation Guild. But it's like writing on this show has to just be like so many passes of like jokes and joke punch ups. And then I'm sure once you get into the booth and you're directing the amazing talent that they have access to, that it just has to be just like striking gold with every pass.
Yeah, no, or it could be grueling and not thankful, and everyone wants to put a phaser kill to their temple.
And then the editors just do a great job.
Yeah, it could literally be like everyone could be hating it right now, and they go like, you know what? I don't know what is this where my career is. Eat a photon grenade or something. It's the art is still there.
The art is still there.
You have no idea on how the behind the scenes go.
The other thing that I'm excited about this season was there's some like almost Pokemon looking little creature. I think it's called like Morphe or Morphe.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Moopy that is going to pop up. That looks both adorable and terrifying, and I'm really excited about it.
It's a Trek version of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yes. So last season we left the Cerritos crew as they had just saved the California class ships from those evil Texas class.
Like I rewatched it, and when they kept on coming in, like, oh, it's a San Clemente. I started tearing up. It was so hilarious. It was so funny. I was going, oh my God. It's so anyway.
They're gonna do it. They're gonna save us all.
They're gonna, yeah. It's funny.
They saved everyone from some evil Texas AI systems that were spawned via Rutherford from his red shirt evil self that he didn't quite remember until later in the season. And we did also end the season with someone or something finding Rutherford's old implant from when him and Shax exploded, that still had the Badgie program available. We also, in the trailer, as you pointed out, Paul, we get to see that they're going to visit in some way, shape, or form Voyager. Do you have any predictions for possible cameos from our Voyager crew?
I assume that Janeway will be there. She's been project.
I don't know if she will. I feel like she is prodigies. I'm not sure if she'll show up. I would love Jerry Ryan.
I don't think so. I think either it's Janeway. I have a feeling B'Elanna.
Ooh, B'Elanna would be great. I wouldn't be mad at the Doctor because he's our hologram of the ship. So that would make sense if he was still there. What if we finally get a non-Ensign Kim?
I don't know. Like, I don't know if I don't know what Garrett does aside from like do comedy on the cruise ship now.
I mean, he's been doing a recap podcast. And Clyde's prediction in the chat is Tuvok. That's a good one. Kuhn says same thing. Will we finally see Harry Kim promoted? We got a Tom Paris prediction in the chat. I think there's going to be, it could be fun. I mean, it's fun for the animation part of it because like none of these people have to show up and like get in a costume, you know?
Like, is there some deep track? It's
going to be Neelix.
Neelix, maybe. Yeah, but Neelix is in the Delta Quadrant though.
I mean, he could be hanging out. Maybe all of this shenanigans is in the Delta Quadrant.
He's living on an asteroid in the Delta Quadrant, like like the.
This is fun. Kuhn says, "Imagine the Doctor meeting Anna." And I'll be excited about any of them. I'm pretty stoked.
I think the Doctor's probably the more likely thing, just because you can easily write it in.
Yeah.
Like unless if there's like because Paris and B'Elanna, I think, are retired. Like she had the kid.
Yeah.
And he's gonna wind up being an author or something like that. Like if you
probably
some.
But I do wonder, like, what is the occasion? Like, is it like a rechristening of a new Voyager, you know? And so maybe it's like the whole crew's back together for one last hurrah.
Oh, see, I just think it's like cleanup. Like, you know, like, oh, we have to clean up a bunch of stuff on Voyager for a museum, and then they unearth a bunch of stuff.
That could also be fun. There is that line, Ransom to Boimler, about the potential for promotions. What are some ways you think this could go right or wrong?
I think I don't think Boimler can get promoted. And to answer Clyde's questions, I've worked with Robert Picardo, or as I like to call him, Bob. But to say we are friends it's a stretch. It's a stretch. He is a lovely, lovely man, and he's a great actor to work with. Like, you know, he brings so much to to his role. But
he's not someone you could just text to be like, "Hey, bro, you in the new Lower Decks?"
Oh, I could do that. No, I'm kidding. I could probably get away with doing that for Doug Jones because I worked with Doug Jones, and he would probably just ignore my emails right now. He rightly so.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I don't know if you are watching What We Do in the Shadows, but Doug Jones.
Oh my God, that was an amazing episode.
It was an incredible episode of that show.
It was amazing. I was like, I'm just so happy for Doug because like, you know, he's worked really hard. You know, he's just to see his face on screen, because like, I know normally it's just prosthetics.
I know, but then anyway, I won't spoil the episode, but if you're watching What We Do in the Shadows, it's a great season this season. We do have a prediction from Kuhn about Rutherford calling Tendi ma'am in the trailer, so there is a hint she may be promoted. I could also just see that being a joke where they're all trying to practice calling each other sir and ma'am. As like, I never trust these trailers because I feel like it's just a couple of their favorite jokes all strung together with like a hint of what the plot might be this season. I do wonder, it does make me question, like, how long can they stay lower deckers? And then is it, if they just, like, how far up the ranks can you go and they're still considered
Lower decks.
lower decks? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's probably the moment you hit commander or lieutenant, no, the lieutenant commander, like Data has his own room,
Yeah.
right?
Like,
Or
essentially,
even lieutenant, like like when he Lieutenant Worf, he still has his own room there.
yeah. So what's between, I don't know all of the actual ranks. I know.
I think it's yeoman, ensign, lieutenant.
So there's not a lot of room between, but I know that they get different pips, right? Like, you can be an ensign that has like a certain amount of pips, maybe.
We're talking like fantasy space navy, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there are people who know this far better than I will, and I'll have to read up on uniform code, but that's not something I dive into. Or I should ask a cosplayer; they would also know.
Like yeah, Wesley got ensign real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Acting ensign to ensign.
Yeah.
And
So ensign, let's see, from Takako, ensign, lieutenant, junior grade, lieutenant commander, commander, and captain. Okay. So maybe if they're still junior grade, it still feels enough.
I think if I were to like really break it down, I think the reason why you're lower deck is because you're in charge of no one. Whereas the moment you start moving up the ranks, you become in charge. You become a manager of sorts.
Interesting.
But who knows? Who knows? Like,
Yeah.
What do I know? Space Navy, baby.
Space Navy. I know. I mean, I love following these characters, so we'll see if it's just an active, always like movement and promotion and demotion. Also, what if they fully give us a Voyager season where they get sent out into some crazy ether and no one can get promoted until they find their way back?
Oh, that would be hilarious! Like a season long deep Lost in Space adventure.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the California class, that'd be great. I'd be all for it.
This show can kind of do whatever it wants. I was like, I could see a whole season. They just do like the whole season is a singular day. Like 24 style. Like
I could see that they're lost in one episode. They get lost in the middle of nowhere for they're 60 years out from the Alpha Quadrant, and then the next episode they're back and they just don't talk about it.
Yeah. Maybe that's the thing that's crazier than that thing with Pike that they're not supposed to talk about.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's right.
That was a fun little nod.
A little wink.
A little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, overall, I'm excited. Do you have any other thoughts or predictions? What about potential? So we do have T'Lyn is joining the crew this season. We've seen her show up. Do we think this could be a potential new love interest for Mariner now that Jennifer? I can't remember where we left off with Jennifer.
I think they might get back together. Like everyone apologized for Mariner coming back. I don't know. I think this would be. I think this is a Boimler love interest.
Oh, a Boimler love interest. Interesting.
Because what are the odds of Boimler getting with a Vulcan? Very, very little, right? So that's the polarity. This is never
someone who has too many emotions with someone who has.
That's right, but she's a rebel, right? Right. So she's. I don't know. We'll see how it goes because she'll have to play the straight person.
Yeah.
And so that'll be interesting.
It'll be an interesting add to their dynamic as well, I think, as our quad 4, because everyone is kind of really heightened, either in their nerdiness, in their emotions, or in their actions of rebellion. So to bring in someone like her will be interesting. Do you ever see Mariner and Boimler is that like a long-term will they, won't they, or are they just fully friends, do you think?
I see them as Jack Donaghy and Liz Lemon.
There's chemistry, but not that kind of chemistry.
Yeah, I think they can be very good friends. I think for all of it, what does how would get them getting together work out? You know,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense of like, what would Myrrah need from Boimler that she doesn't get already?
Yeah. I think there is potential, and they've hinted at it a little bit between Tendi and Rutherford, which I think is a more believable potential pairing, right?
Yeah, like Tendi is just so um like she's like that naive genius, right? Like she doesn't know how
Mm-hmm.
the world works, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so like she may be in love with Rutherford, but in such a combustion kind of way that she doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one feeling. So I think it's possible there. Like though both of them are just so
They're
they're
so
both
focused on like work that it
yeah.
seems like it would take so much for them to look up and actually see each other in that way.
Mhm. Yeah. But another thing I don't know, maybe if it was a deep track hint on the what you call it, the
The trailer.
trailer. Yeah, but like if you look carefully, like if Boimler were to have a love interest and that it's a distinct maybe, it would be Peanut Hamper. Boom, gotcha, Clyde. Boom
Ooh,
shakalaka, boom
there's
shakalaka.
Peanut
Yeah.
Hamper is
Uh,
back, baby.
how you like that? How you like me now, Clyde?
What's that count up to now? We should just have a little like
Like
ding, like a little counter in the corner for how many times
exactly.
we, we talk about Peanut Hamper. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking the most wild and out there potential pairing would be Ransom and Peanut Hamper, because
Oh,
Peanut Hamper really seems to like those like really bulked up dudes,
sure, sure, sure. Yeah. No,
or at least bulked up birds. um I am also interested to see Captain Freeman, I think, really come into her own, because I think at the end of last season, we saw how she was maybe potentially feeling like uh, it's that like second class underranked captain of these ships, right? And always
mhm.
constantly trying to prove herself and the efficiencies. And so I wonder if after this like very large and heroic gathering of all of this crew, like what that's going to do for the California class in general, and what that's going
Mhm.
to kind of set them up as, and what they have potentially for them going forward. Maybe more
Yeah.
responsibility means the heightening, even more heightening of all of their missions and stuff, right?
Yeah, no, it's interesting 'cause I am always very interested in how they're gonna maintain the seasons, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can keep like, the drudgery of being a lower deck person, a downstairs. But can you keep the upstairs storyline at such a static level, right?
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing. I don't know.
And how the upstairs story, as you're saying, like melds with the rest of Trek that's kind
Mm,
of going on in this era as well.
exactly. Because like ultimately the upstairs stories impacts, on what makes lower decks work for me is like the upstairs stories impact the downstairs stories, like like
Mm-hmm.
with the pack leads,
Mm-hmm.
and like with the California class versus Texas class, like all that stuff eventually trickles down to the lower decks part.
Mm-hmm.
So you need it. I'm just curious on how you're going to keep it up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll see. Like like is Captain Freeman? Is she like a person who's stuck at that captain's thing?
Mm-hmm.
Is she only going to ever be there? And is she happy there? You know. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I do wonder, because it's like it's always so hard for me to gauge like the time frame of what is like sort of normal progression of people's ranks in
Mhm.
Starfleet, right? Because like for the most part, we're following characters once they hit those senior officer rankings and seem to be there for quite some time, right? Like
Sure, sure.
we've only ever really seen like maybe I guess we've seen quite a few people who eventually make it up to captain, right? Like we have Riker, we have Sulu, we've got a couple of these characters that move up these ranks in that way. But it's like we haven't watched someone truly move from the bottom all the way to the top. And what does that timeline realistically look like? Because like how long was Picard a captain before we're spending time with him? You know, like how long was Janeway a captain before we're shoved out into the Delta Quadrant? I think it'll be interesting to see how they play with timeline, because I feel like this is a show that is one of the few that actually gets to do that. Like we've seen people rise from ensign to other roles, but in like Discovery, it's because they made these big time jumps, and it's like, oh, you've experienced war, the Klingon War, like all of these really traumatic events. So we're gonna like kind of raise you through the ranks because your trauma has informed your abilities in some way, shape, or form.
Well, all I know is that Ensign Harry Kim was ensign for 7 freaking years.
That's what I'm saying. So are they going to I mean, it would be kind of funny if this lower decks group is like, we have been ensigns longer than Harry Kim.
Yeah, I mean that's that's rough. It's a deep cut slam, but like poor Harry. And Harry's done a lot more than most ensigns.
Yeah.
So that's what hurts. Like, I never thought of Janeway as like a glass ceiling person to keep people down, but like I don't know, man.
This is like I don't have a way to file the paperwork, so we're gonna have to just hang out here.
It's such an abuse. It's like, it's the people with power keeps the power kind of thing, where it's like, oh, Captain, no, I'm sorry, like we need to keep you ensign. Like maybe next year at your performance evaluation. Could you imagine
those meetings? I need that as like a short trek. It's just all of Harry Kim's performance evaluation meetings.
Yeah, no. But it's interesting because like, because they gave Jack Crusher, not, like he was like a executive officer without even going to Starfleet Academy. So it all doesn't matter. It all like, are like, oh, you know what? You're the chosen one. Here you go. You want to be an admiral? Go for it.
Do it up. Any other kind of final thoughts on Lower Decks as we prep for the season? We do get 2 episodes next week, so that'll be quite the treat. But I wanted to shift into if we had any final kind of reviews and thoughts, and kind of talk a little bit about Strange New Worlds here at the end. But I wanted to make sure we've covered all of the Lower Deck spaces.
I don't know if Clyde were here, I'm sure he would have the most.
He would have.
Like I miss Clyde's sage advice and his dedication to pew 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 pew.
Yeah, I do wonder how our space battles are going to look this season. I always feel like the animation really ups its ante each season. It gets better and better, and there's even more fun stuff for us to see.
Here's what I would like to see: a reverse episode where someone goes to the cartoon universe from like either Discovery or Strange New Worlds, or
Ooh.
That's what I would like to see.
It starts out live action.
That's what I would like to see. And then someone says, why does everyone talk so fast in the future?
That could be amazing. Okay, so shifting into Strange New Worlds, I thought we'd just touch on it now that we're a few weeks out. And I wanted to ask if you had, like, what were your highs and lows? What would you say was maybe your favorite episode, and what was your not so favorite episode?
My favorite episode.
I feel like our favorite episode is going to be the same, but.
Well, I mean, the musical episode is always going to be ranked fairly high with me. Mm-hmm. Although, I not to throw any shade, but like after listening to the musical episode on repeat for like 4 days, I went and revisited Buffy's musical episode, and Buffy's musical episode it's like fire. It is 10 out of 10. Like, as far as like its melding of story and music and all that stuff, so if they were trying to copy that, they did not hit it, but they same ballpark. But like,
I mean, they made a reference to the Buffy musical.
100%. Like, and there's no shame in it. Like Buffy had 6 seasons to draw upon, of character, and here, and they're a little bit flying blind, how, and I wonder how it felt. But in some ways they were the X.
Paul is really deep in these lyrics, y'all. I'm very impressed. Clyde is hanging out in the chat. It says his favorite was Ad Astra.
Yeah, that I think I would say that's the best written episode. Like, and for if like uh best guest actor to
Mhm.
be, I mean, the lawyer. I
Oh
don't
my
know.
God, the lawyer. Her
She
outfits. I
yeah.
still dream of them.
I, I think she was a force, to be contended with. So written very well, acted very well. I think that would get it.
Yeah. That one's high for me. The musical's high for me. I also think Those Old Scientists is probably my favorite of the season.
No, I mean, I feel like it was good. I feel like, and in no way was it bad. It was just like those other two did something unexpected for me.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, like with the musical, like you're like, oh, you're really gonna do this? It's a little cringy, it's a little cringy. And the Ad Astra, how is it, Ad Astra, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
I personally feel like the best acted one is not my favorite episode. Is probably the war one.
I think there was some really great performances in that episode. I would agree with you. I also thought there was some like really interesting like character developments there as well. It finally gave us some Chapel, which I'd been craving for a long time. Like more of a backstory there. I also really enjoyed the opener.
Yeah.
With them down on the Klingon planet,
Sure.
and Spock stealing the ship. And I thought that one was an unexpected season opener, and so I definitely enjoyed it.
Ones that I wasn't, that are on the lower half or the lower decks of my list. I think anyone that does I forget who I am, like has really high, it has to be so good in order for me to go like, oh, it's okay. But it's like, there's only so many ways that this can go. And so that one was not my favorite. I didn't love Hegemony. It was fine. But the season finale, like, it was fine. But like, as far as what a season finale should be, I did not feel like it hit what I felt like it should be. It was good.
Yeah. Do you think that's because it's a cliffhanger?
That, like, I feel like that could be part of it. So maybe I'm only judging the first half. But then I go like, does it really need? Like, ultimately, it's a little bit like Walking Dead, right? That's and so, do I really care about that? Like, oh, here, because the themes are not really there. Like, what it's just basically, I gotta save some people. I gotta not die.
Right. Like, what was the thesis statement of this episode? Even if they're like, we did get to see a resolution.
Yeah. And there was, you could make it like, what is it to follow? Like, I won't say directions at all, but like, here's this line. Am I going to sacrifice my crew for blah, blah, blah?
Right.
And the answer was no. Okay, well, there's your answer.
Yeah. I mean, I think the finale of the season, there were things that I liked about it because I do enjoy the more horror-y episodes. I was a little sad we didn't get a more traditional horror episode besides our war episode this season, just because like last season I had the bounty of riches of like the submarine style and then like multiple gore, it was truly made for me. And then this season I thought I was finally going to get it in this finale, and it was kind of the build up, and there's some moments, and I am really impressed with the puppetry and like the gore and space battle. I thought was great. Even with how slow it was, I thought, it was executed well with the limitations of like the gravity that they had to deal with in the physics of it all. But yeah, I think for me, there's a lot of strong moments in this season, but I don't think it hit as hard for me as the first season did. So I'll be interested to see what next season looks like.
Do you remember which one was Tomorrow? That was the third episode. I can't seem to remember it, and I don't actually remember Lost in Translation either. Charades was good. I like Charades, even though, like,
Yeah,
it,
there's some sticky sticky themes there.
but I do like the.
Oh, the time travel episode with Kirk.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I have to say that's my favorite episode of ours.
Of
You know,
our podcast.
yeah,
Yeah, we had hot dog talk.
yeah, that's
We
right. Like
had
so,
Canadian Border Patrol.
that's right. Like a lot of like Substacks came out of. I don't even know if I use the word Substack right.
A lot of sub pods came out.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And Lost in Translation. Do you remember which one that was? It- they had just
Uh,
hooked up, and this is where they're playing chess a little bit. You
oh, it's
know.
when Ahura can hear the sound, and it's the like space gas station. They have
Oh
to
yeah,
blow it up. Yeah.
I didn't love that one. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought Celia Gooding was great performance as
mhm,
always, but and there's some, yeah, I don't know. There's some moments I liked. I like the Pelia number one Una situation in that
mhm,
episode.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of like, there's always something that I enjoy in every episode. You know, it's not like a big, very few to me were ever like a stinker. You know what I mean?
uh, I do. I do think like and Young says this, like you know, with Pike having dad duties,
Yeah.
like I wonder if like he is kind of like the anchor that allows a lot of this, uh, what you call it, the other characters to like really fly, and without
Mm-hmm.
him as a anchor, like it kind of messes with the alchemy of the show.
Mm. I think too, this season felt more. I think what I did mostly enjoy this season was getting more of the ensemble involved, because I do think this show, unlike a lot of classic Trek, isn't as focused on the cap. You know what I mean, like the
Mhm.
captain.
Sure.
Um, and so I enjoyed getting to learn more about everyone. I do think we still are very Spock heavy, and I
Mhm.
think that's a character that's been explored so much that I would prefer to learn more about our other crew.
Yeah,
More Tegas every time. More Tegas.
Mortagus. I think I hope that they give Ortegas like something good as opposed to something. Here is
I
here,
fly the
fine.
ship.
Well, even like here. Okay, you want something? Here's something.
Yeah.
I'd rather it be something like really juicy. Like for a long time, like Bashir didn't have stuff for
Hmm.
himself, like for like till like season 6 maybe,
Hmm.
like where like you see that that he discovered, well, we discovered that he's genetically engineered,
Hmm.
and you can see why he's been such a little
A hidden character.
yeah, like kind of like a brat about certain things, and
Hmm.
and like kind of a chip off his shoulder, and
Hmm.
so that they're like I hope if they're gonna take their time with it, I hope that they give Ortegas something
Hmm.
worthwhile. Like, I'm not really a big fan of how they're developing Uhura. They're giving her a lot of great moments,
Hmm.
but like ultimately what I get is like, oh, my family died and I'm sad, and here I am
Yeah, I'm ready
again.
to move. I feel like we've established that, and so my hope is that because we get these more ensemble character moments in this show, that it is like an Ahura and Ortegas episode, and we
Mhm,
get to hear more about like through like Ortega sharing a backstory, we get to learn something new about Ahura.
mhm. Yeah, like I guess there's this aspect where for me, like when I watch a show, it's always great to see someone's damage,
Hmm.
but I don't actually need to be reminded of that person's damage by telling me that they're damaged every time. It's
Yeah,
more interesting to me to see how
the effects
people,
of the damage.
yeah, how they be
Hmm.
how it affects their behavior. So like
Hmm.
so give me something, uh, give me a horror doing something amazing, and and go like, oh, she was able to do that because she had this kind of like thing that she had to deal with, so she was able to carry this water here, or
Hmm.
like something like that. Like, but like
Hmm.
enough. Like the closest person who does that is Una.
Mm-hmm.
Like Una goes like, "Oh, I've had to hide myself, but I'm awesome," and she's just awesome in all these things, and you know that she's awesome because she's had to be better, and she's had to hide this aspect. So I hope they do that with a lot of the other characters. But to be fair, a lot of the other characters are young, and young people they're not necessarily having healed and blossomed from their damage yet. They're still in the middle of processing. So it's all, whatever. Just less Kirk, please. Less or better Kirk.
Still not your Kirk.
Still not my Kirk. Clyde, is he your Kirk? You let me know. Let me know in the chat.
Still in the chat. We'll see if he's managed to stay awake. But yeah, I'm excited as always for whatever is to come. I mean, they were supposed to be filming now, so hopefully the studios get their acts together and pay the writers and actors what they deserve, so that we can get to filming. So
I'm just assuming that just get ready to watch. I can't wait to watch Star Trek: Strange New World season 3, 2035.
Yeah, truly. It'll probably be late 2024 would be my guess. But we shall see.
Yeah, I don't know. It really like I imagine they had episodes written.
Yeah, they were supposed to start shooting, so I think the episodes are written, but it's like you still have to have a writer on set. So
yeah, and and actors, those two things, the writers and actors.
Yeah, you need both those things ideally.
But like it takes about maybe 7 days or so to shoot an episode, I imagine, to shoot for a little production, and then probably another week for post, and another week for like music and post. So assume 3 weeks per episode.
I would say closer to 6 with special effects.
Okay, but I would yeah, sure. And I don't know what it would be like with on the volume, because on the special effects would so we'll see. Who knows?
I'd be interested to.
I would like. I think. Kyung says I would like Spock to play some classical music on his lute, like Beastie Boys.
Yes.
That'd be hilarious.
Oh man. Anything else? I think I'm ready for Lower Decks next week. I'm excited about it. And continue to support those who are on strike. You can check the link down below if you're watching us on YouTube right now, or if you're listening, it's in the show notes of how you can support the Entertainment Community Fund. And I know for those watching live, if you are in the Los Angeles area tomorrow, there is a Star Trek themed picket at Paramount. I think it's from 9 to noon, but there's information on Twitter, and I've also shared it in our Slack. So, but yeah, continue to support the creatives who make all this amazing content that we get to watch and enjoy, review, and critique. Anything you want to promote, Paul?
The movie that I kind of produced is going to have a little theatrical run soon.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so more details on that later, but like around October 6th. So if you're in one of like 9 cities, like, feel free to like watch it and then like give me shit about it on
What is it called?
It's called American-ish, and so like as I know more, I'll give you guys more, but like that's if I was going to promote something, that's what I am obligated to promote.
Amazing. Thank you. Yes, so you can subscribe, rate, and review on Apple, also on Spotify. You can visit StarTrekPod.co to find links to everywhere that you can find us. You can also visit us at the Patreon. We also have a Tea public store, so if you want to check that out, that is also available. We have some fun shirts that you can purchase that have to do with our favorite peanut hamper.
Our favorite hamper of peanuts.
Our peanut hamper of peanuts. Thank you all so much for joining us. We will be back next week to discuss the first 2 episodes of Star Trek Lower Decks. Until then, live long and prosper. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.